guys, how you doing? Thanks, Shay. I am so honored to be moderating this panel, Deconstructing Fashion. You know, I feel like we're defined by our clothing and choices we make in fashion as well as style. And conscious clothing shouldn't be something that only the most expensive designers are able to create for a collection or two. Democratizing circular fabrics with sustainable manufacturing practices should be available to everyone. Without further ado, please welcome Diana Amini, who's the Global Manager for the H&M Foundation, Erik Bang, Innovation Lead for the H&M Foundation, and Emily Scarlett, Communications and Public Relations Manager, H&M USA. Hi, guys. Welcome.
Hi. Morning.
How you doing? These two flew in all the way from Sweden. God morgon.
God morgon, god morgon.
It's my people, guys. So, Diana, let's start with you. Tell us about the H&M Foundation and your main project or initiative with the Global Change Award.
Yes, so H&M Foundation is a non-profit foundation. We're privately funded by the main owners and founders of H&M, the Persson family. And our role is really to drive positive change beyond the company sphere. I mean, H&M as a group has nearly, you said, Emily, 300 people working with sustainability, focusing on both the environmental and social issues. So what we can do is really to be an add-on to that, out of the needs of the communities where we operate. And when we were about to establish the foundation, we actually asked the public to help us choose the focus areas. So we have this online vote on hm.com. And we received 120,000 votes over 1 week. So great engagement there.
Yeah.
So we work with education, we work with water and sanitation, with equality, and then within planet. Very large scope, but all within the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So within planet, we thought it was a good idea to start with the industry we are linked to, since we know it's a resource-intensive industry. We also have the challenge of a growing population, a growing middle class that we need to handle within the planetary boundaries. So that's why we established the Global Change Award, an annual challenge to find game-changing ideas and innovation that can help us make the shift that the whole industry needs. So this was in 2015, and we award 5 winners every year. We do it in the City Hall in Stockholm, which is the same venue where the Nobel Prize is handed out. So
pretty fancy.
Yeah, so we have, but actually we were a bit scared in the beginning, like how many ideas will we actually receive? But so far, this is the 4th year, and we have received nearly 15,000 entries from 182 countries. So it's truly global, and it shows that there's so many great ideas out there.
Yeah.
So we hope that we can now call us the Nobel Prize of Fashion in that.
Yes.
Very
I like that. We'll stick to that. That's wonderful. It's so nice to hear that so many people are involved and that they care. All right, well, can you give us some examples of some of the winning innovations so far?
Yeah, you heard some of them here, but we had like the first year when Shay was also part of the winners. We had a team from Italy called Orange Fiber. They use waste or byproducts from the citrus juice production in Sicily, doing a fabric, it's almost like silk. And I would say the good thing with Global Change Award is also that it is really for the whole industry. We don't take any ownership or equity in the ideas. It's really to make the shift for the whole industry. So the first collection that they did was actually with Ferragamo. And now they were also part of the Conscious Exclusive that H&M had this spring. So it really shows that, I mean, it's not a brand-specific challenge we're facing. We need to do it jointly, and we need to find those ideas. And I think that we as a foundation can also take that risk to support them at the really early stage where no brand or supplier are able to do that. So Orange Fiber is one. We also had another Italian team. You know, it's a lot of oranges, but also wine. So they use grapes and stalks from the wine industry to do a totally vegan leather.
Wow.
And Erik knows a lot more about but you just met this year's winners in New York last week, so.
Yeah, I mean, the winners that you saw on the film, we, as part of the support that we give the winners, they come to us with a very strong science and sustainability proposition, but most often they're not the most skilled businessmen. or business women. So we need to educate them and really push their business proposition as well, because if we want to have a really big impact and a complete impact on this industry, it also needs to make business sense. There are a number of great sustainable solutions out there, but this just doesn't cut it from a business perspective. So the winners share a €1 million grant. That's like 1.1 million US dollars, I think. They also get a 1-year-long acceleration support where we bring them to places like Stockholm, of course, but also New York, where we were last week. And we meet with H&M, of course, to learn from one of the biggest brands in the industry. But again, coming back to doing this for the industry, we also give them exposure to a lot of other brands. So we went to CFDA, the Council of Fashion Designers of America, and Parsons School, and also business schools, the NYU Stern. So we do a lot of this to just make sure they get the full toolbox so they can really leverage their brilliant idea. And from this year's winners, I want to highlight the clothes that grow that you saw in the film. So, you know, children, they grow 7 sizes in their first 3 years. I just had a daughter, so I'm just learning about this now.
It's really expensive.
Yeah. And so next day, it doesn't fit anymore. So they came up with this brilliant, fun solution that they make a pleated structure to clothing. So as the child grows, the garment can expand on both the length and the width. So you can buy one piece of garment and it lasts 7 sizes.
It's brilliant.
It's really incredible. And yeah, you should really check these campaigns out. We support them.
I want to mention one, because I mean, we focus on the environmental side, but so often it's interlinked with the social side as well. So we had this team from Kenya winning this year, the green nettle that was mentioned.
Yeah.
And they use kind of thin-soiled, steep, kind of where you can't grow anything else, but you have the stinging nettles. And you can extract the fiber and make a linen-like textile out of that. And the good thing is that they're also a social business, because they provide jobs for farmers in northern Kenya. So the social component comes into that one as well.
And that's something that you look at when you look at the companies, is the social component to it all.
So it's all there on globalchangeaward.com. And I mean, what we're trying to do is not just find incremental improvements for the industry, but really radical stuff that can change how we make and produce and enjoy clothing, and eventually also recycle, which we're going to talk about a little bit more.
Well,
but this year we also just had the crowdfunding campaigns, and of course they get a grant from us, but the main reason for doing that is also that a lot of them needs the consumer insights and response from the consumers directly to be able to develop there. So they're actually up and running 2 more days or 3 more days?
Until Monday. So
until
this
Monday.
is the final stretch, the final opportunity to support them. It's really critical for them to get real customer feedback if this is a solution that people like and what can they improve, because otherwise they risk losing out on that, and it's a great opportunity for them to get those insights also in terms of marketing and communication, what works, because they are so early stage, it's never been made commercially available before, so this is really the first view.
Yeah, I'm going to get myself a job at the grape place so I can drink the wine while I make the leather. Okay, so earlier this year, while on a panel, I was genuinely surprised when I learned that H&M's commitment and goals within sustainability were so vast. And Emily, I'd love to hear your perspective on deconstructing fashion and to hear about H&M's direction forward with some of your initiatives.
Absolutely. So I think, you know, for H&M, sustainability is something we've been involved in for a very, very long time. I mean, being Swedish, you know, it's a big part of Swedish culture, nature, the environment, really respecting the planet. But for H&M now, we're working on really forward-thinking goals that are going to stretch into the future. We have one that's actually coming up next year. So we have a goal that by 2020, all of our cotton will come from organic or more sustainable sources.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And today we're at 97%, so we're almost there. We're going to make the goal, no problem. And then the next one is that by 2030, all of the products that we sell will come from more sustainable or recycled sources. So that's really incredible, because it really means that the future of the company lies in sustainable fashion, being especially that we know that fashion is an industry that depends on resources that are not infinite, that are quite finite. So it's important that we work more towards a circular model and closing the loop on fashion in order to meet that 2030 goal. And I think the partnership that we have with the foundation is also amazing because, to what Diana was saying, we can now take the winners that they find, and especially on a textile level, take those textiles and put them into H&M collections in the future, which is really amazing.
Yeah.
These are not Global Change Award, but I just have to point out these are made of pineapple
Really
leather,
cool.
which is amazing, you know, so like all the different things that you can take and make fashion out of today that we just didn't know about maybe 20, 30 years ago. And then our last goal that we're working on is that by 2040 we'll be climate positive across the entire value chain within H&M.
That's amazing. Yeah. I think you should get up and do a little dance with those boots later. All right, so how do you explain and communicate to the public the benefits of how important and actually so much more chic it is to wear fabric with a history?
Yeah, I mean, I think fashion is such a personal journey. It's obviously a way to express yourself and your style. I think, you know, at H&M we always say it's about fashion and quality at the best price in a sustainable way. So for us, it's important to add that into the entire life cycle and journey of fashion. I think, you know, it comes in many different forms, your relationship with clothing, but I think something we like to talk about a lot is that life cycle, the end part of it, is probably the most important part when you're talking about the history of fabric and the history of fashion. Today, I think the statistic in the US is that the average American is throwing 80 pounds of textiles in the trash every year.
80 pounds.
80 pounds.
Yeah.
And I mean, everything can be given a new life. We heard about it yesterday, you know, trash to treasure. So I think for us, we've been working on our garment collecting initiative for many years. And we're one of the largest ever to do it at our size and scale. So today you can bring back any unwanted garment or home textile from any brand in any condition. You can bring it to any H&M. And we work with our partner, iCollect, on then sorting all those garments and giving them a new life again. So I think, you know, finding alternatives to textiles and what to do with them is a huge part of your relationship with fashion. Nothing should go in the trash, especially from a textile perspective. So there's that. And then I think there's also new things that we're looking into, like the vintage market and how can we incorporate that? Or, you know, is it maybe in the future we'll work on a rental program? You know, so I think we're also really interested in this idea of what the future of fashion looks like for H&M and how do we now take this to the next level.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, you guys can bring in your clothes. You recycle them at H&M and you get 15% off.
Yes.
It's great.
Please do.
Yeah, please do. Okay, so Erik, I'd love to hear how you at the H&M Foundation describe the process that happens when consumers give you their old clothes and then you magically create new fabric.
Yeah, this is super exciting, and then this plays into what Shay was speaking about just earlier, is that so much textile is just being put in landfill and it's waste, but it's really a value that we should be able to recover. It's a matter of technological progress, but also making it a business case, making sure that the output from recycled technologies are cheaper or at par with the virgin or alternatives. That's the only way it's going to have, again, real industry-wide impact. And thirdly, it's also about logistics, because the old garments, it's end up with me as a consumer, right, at my home. So we need to get it back to the system to be recycled. So we are investing a lot in recycling aside from Global Change Award, and we're trying to address all of these challenges because it's the only way we think that we're going to be able to make recycling of textiles sort of embedded into the entire system. And so what I brought today is actually a really cool sweater. It looks like a super standard sweater. So I thought we should pass this around, actually. So I'm going to explain what it is. You want to grab it? So that sweater, so the type of garments that you can buy today are some of them are recycled, but especially polyester. But it actually comes from recycled PET bottles. So there are no technologies available to recycle old garments into a new garment. So we can't recover the yarn. And that's the end goal of this, is textile to textile or garment to garment recycling. So that sweater is actually 70% old textiles that we have recycled mechanically. And 40% of that sweater is from old garments that consumers have worn. And the rest, so it's polyester and cotton and 30% lyocell. So it's the world's first sweater, at least to my knowledge, the most recycled sweater in the world, because it's actually been with consumers in real life, and now it's available to buy. So this is the first of its kind, and
That's great. At H&M you can buy it.
you can buy that at H&M. Yes, online. It's a men's sweater, which is great. I love it, and
Finally something
I
for
can
you.
wear.
Ever touch it here today. Yeah, it's lovely.
And so we're working and investing the money that we get from the garment collecting program into a collaboration with a research institute in Hong Kong. And we're trying to address specifically the issue of blended textiles, because the vast majority of all textiles in the world, not only fashion, but also home textile and things, are blended. So if you look at your label, you'll see it's cotton, polyester, and maybe wool blended. So all of these types of fabrics gets blended, or fibers gets blended. But we can't separate them. Once it's in a garment, we can't separate them. And that means we can't make another garment out of it. So it reaches its end of life with just one life cycle. But we want to recover that. So we are working on different methods on separating, and we have essentially, we made some great progress in just a few years in Hong Kong with working with researchers in Japan on building essentially a pressure boiler like you can have in your kitchen. So it's pressure, it's heat, and water. And that can separate the polyester from the cotton, and we recover the polyester in fiber form. And that makes it a lot cheaper than virgin, because we don't have to regenerate the polyester. So we can just spin it into a new yarn. And this is available. We're now currently scaling this up. We have a 100 kilo per day capacity in Hong Kong at an open facility. Anyone can come and visit. And we're now scaling this up to a 1 ton per day facility to be ready and built within the next year. So,
Wow.
yeah.
And that will also be open source.
Yes.
Since
So-
it's the foundation who does it, it needs to be for
Right.
the whole industry. So anyone, any brand will be able
So it's not exclusive to H&M. This is
Right.
actually working very closely with manufacturers and suppliers in the supply chain for them to adopt this and get a clear business case out of doing this. And then they can source to any brand in the world. And we also, the IP we're going to protect, but essentially give away for anyone to build their own facility.
That's wonderful.
We think that's the best way of just amplifying impact and
Yeah.
making it just
Pay it forward.
sharing is
Share the
caring.
knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
mean, we always like to say that there should be no competition in sustainability.
Yeah.
People are always shocked to hear that because, of course, I think the perception is that the retail industry is so highly competitive, but in this capacity, there should be no competition, or there will not be an industry to be competitive in the future.
Right.
So,
That's smart thinking.
yes.
Very smart thinking.
May I add?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what we're trying. Normally, science is very process-based, and it takes a lot of time. I think that's one reason why we haven't seen more progress in sustainability in the fashion industry, because it takes so much time to find the great, perfect solutions. But we tried to flip this around and adopted more or less an entrepreneurial software development model to research and science, in that the technology with that shirt is not a 100% perfect. But we're shipping, so to say, we're communicating the 1.0 version of this technology because we need to get the wheels moving. We don't have time to wait for the perfect solution.
Yeah.
So we need to get this started now and get it out there. Again, also for us to get feedback on this technology. How can it be improved? How can it be more consumer friendly, the output of this technology? So as a very eager for change, and impatient and risk-loving foundation, we found our best friends in this research institute in Hong Kong who are all about applied research, which means that their entire goal is to get things commercialized as soon as possible, not just write scientific articles. Those are also needed. But where the industry is at today, we really need to get things out there in the real world as soon as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to Diana's numbers, I think until 2030, we expect the global middle class to grow by 3 billion people.
Wow.
And that will lead to an expected fourfold increase in fashion consumption globally.
Right.
It's not us in this room that are going to buy that much more clothes, but it's 3 billion more people getting access to, it's really beautiful statistics, getting access to education, healthcare, and jobs, and able to live a better life. But that also means they will buy clothes in a different way, they will eat food in a different way, they will enjoy life in a very different way. So we need to create a system where we can just operate within the planetary boundaries and making sure people can aspire for a better life
Yeah.
without harming the planet.
Yeah, and I think it's so important to have something that is affordable. I think that's always been the problem, is that things that are sustainable or organic, or the prices are always so high, which is unfortunate. So it's so nice to hear that, trying to make it affordable and accessible to the majority of people, which is really important to...
Yeah, because not everyone have the opportunity to pay a premium, to pay more.
Yeah.
Because most people in the world are just going about the daily life and making sure surviving the day.
Yeah.
And it can't be sustainability, can't be a
luxury
or elitist option. It needs to be inclusive.
And so you can be fashionable at the same time. All right, so Emily, H&M is one of the biggest fashion brands globally. How would your goal of being 100% circular in your materials even happen? So I know we've kind of covered a bit of it, but if there's some more that you want to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, a lot of it, obviously I work for the retail side of the organization, so a lot of that comes along with boosting customer knowledge, working with like-minded individuals, other partnerships that will help move us in the right direction in the future. And I think when we talk about being 100% circular, which is one of our big strategic commitments, along with 100% fair and equal and 100% leading the change, it touches many different things. It's about closing the loop on fashion and your physical clothing and using the garment collecting initiative. But it's also about things like water and what does that mean as a resource. So, I mean, we have strategic partnerships with people like the World Wildlife Foundation and how we can work with them in some of the places where we operate where water is a scarcity, like China and Bangladesh. And I think from personal experience, I can say that a few years ago I was fortunate enough to go on a trip with WWF to China, to the Yangtze River Basin, to see some of the work that we're doing with them firsthand on what it means to have proper water stewardship across every area of our business. And I mean, it's so interesting to go on a trip like that and go to a very remote area of China and see this endangered freshwater dolphin species that we're helping to protect with WWF. And you wouldn't necessarily think about that when you're in your local H&M buying a t-shirt, but again, it's about having strategic partnerships across various aspects of the industry, and whether or not we can, really, as a consumer, see that every day when we go into the store. It doesn't necessarily matter. We still need to be doing all of these things on the back end to move the whole industry in order to get us to this 100% circular model. And I think, especially when it comes to how can we engage the consumer more, that's probably a question that I get asked the most. And it is very difficult, I have to say. There's a lot going on in the retail environment. When you go into a store, it can be quite hectic, quite busy. You want to get in, you want to get out, you have your kids, you have your things to do. So, I mean, it's how do we find the best way of educating the consumer, talking to them, telling them about the different options. So I think that's why for us, the garment collecting initiative is so important to us, especially on a local level, because in the US alone, we have 552 retail locations. Oh. So that's 552 options of taking things that you don't need or want anymore and giving them a second life. But I think when I equate how many pounds we collected in 2018, which was roughly 3.3 million pounds of unwanted textiles, to the US population of 389 million people, it's roughly 0.06% of the population that participated in the program. So I think, there's just a lot of work that has to be done in terms of building that knowledge about options. And again, not just for H&M, but all the different options that exist out there about how to lead a more sustainable lifestyle. Because yes, we want to be 100% circular, but you need to be 100% circular, or aim to be, in every single part of your life and not just one small part, in order to, again, move and make a big shift forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, which is why it's important to bring all these people together, which is why we're here.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you two wanted to add to this? Anything that we've missed?
We'll see. I think next year it will be the 5th anniversary of Global Change Award, and I think since it's so early stage, I mean, it's good to have the 5 years now, because now we can get back to Shay and the others who won like just 3 years ago, and we have 20 winners now, and to really start to see the impact, because they need time, they need investments, and they need someone to take that risk at an early stage. So far, all the 20 winners are still up and running. Some have been able to scale quite quickly. Some will need some more time. But I think it's great when you look back and really see what they have been able to accomplish. And also great to see how other brands and other suppliers are coming along, supporting them with knowledge and skills, and to really make it happen. Because as you said, this is not like the planet is not a competition. We need to do it together. So really fascinated, and also great to see how many ideas comes from various places, not just different countries, but also we can have solutions coming from other industries into the fashion industry, which is amazing. It could be individuals, designers, but also teams from universities. So it's really a variety of ideas and it's we mentioned a lot of materials here, but it's also about innovations related to processes, to use less or none water and chemicals. It could also be new types of business models. So it's not just materials, even though that is really, really important. So we try to cover the whole spectrum.
And what's very exciting is that we are seeing almost 50% of the entries we get in Global Change Award are from female founders and female innovators. And which is really, really special.
Yeah.
It's, and so we're starting to wonder if the fashion industry also plays a role in being a platform for female founders to get access and space. And it engages female founders in a different way, perhaps. And we also see that reflected in the winners. There are so many female founders running their business and just claiming the space and trying to change this industry. Usually innovation challenges have around 5, 10, maybe 15% women participation. So it's really special. And yeah, we have everything from Stanford graduates to just people graduating high school in different places from around the world.
I think like 50% one year was like students, and that also really hopeful, looking at the young generation and all these great ideas that will come along.
And also want to mention a quite local case. So Shay, he's based here in LA. We have another winner called Unspun, based in San Francisco. So if you go to their store, they have one pop-up store, the first store ever. You go there, they offer a 3D scanning of your body, and then they make custom-made denim jeans on demand. So currently they use sort of a 1.0 model where they make them in a traditional way, and it takes you 2 weeks to get it. But it's your jeans, perfect fit, and they only make what's already been sold. So it's a whole different way.
And they have a pop-up here in LA?
No, in
San Francisco.
Yeah.
Great, guys.
But it's really
Road
cool.
trip to San Francisco.
And so instead of just guessing how much is going to be sold within a year, they only produce what's already been sold. So it's a whole different way of flipping the business of the entire business model of the fashion industry.
But I think that's another interesting thing for us, looking at technology and also how that can play a part for the retail organization side of H&M. How can we use AI and predictive technology for the future in terms of, do we have a different assortment for New York versus Florida because the climate is quite different, and what does that mean in terms of then using technology and predictive thinking on what that actually means for how we stock our stores in the future? So again, we're producing what we need and not
less waste.
What we don't need.
Yeah, that would be great across the board.
Yeah.
Food industry included.
Yeah.
But that's wonderful. We're so happy to have you guys here. What you guys are doing is incredible. Thank you for what you're doing. I'm so honored to be up here with you and to be hearing about this, and I wish you guys all the best. I know you're going to reach your goals. We're all here to support you, and hopefully you guys will all get a chance and an opportunity to talk to these lovely human beings up close. Any more questions that you have, you can ask them. But thank you again for coming all the way from Sweden.
Thank you.
And all the way from LA.